Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today is the 400th chapter of As the Story Grows, and today we welcome Mike D'Antonio from Killswitch Engage to the podcast. Mike's side project, Death Ray Vision, is releasing their new record, No Mercy from Electric Eyes, today on Metal Blade Records. Mike talks about the genesis of Death Ray Vision, his love of skateboard deck art, the New England metal and hardcore scene, having an opinion on lyrics, and more. I loved getting to chat with Mike about this new record and touch on the legacy of Killswitch Engage. We had a comment on chapter 398 with Tuck from Fit for a King. Bodybuilding Berserker said, "Loved this one. Also check them out because of how excited you were about the album. I don't always, so thank you. I'm glad I did. What a great album." Thanks for the comment. Getting to share new music is one of my favorite things about this podcast. Introducing new bands or projects brings me joy. Even with this chat today, Mike has a killer discography, but I said yes to chatting with Mike after listening to the new Death Ray Vision album. It's incredible, and I hope people give it a spin. So thanks for listening, and thanks for checking out that off-road minivan record. I know Tuck appreciates it. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's chat with Mike D'Antonio from Death Ray Vision. Don't make you talk about everything you've ever done.
It's a lot of stuff, and I have zero memory.
Yeah. Let's start with this. Is it weird? I asked Justin this when he was on promoting the Libico record. Like, is it weird when like you're now like the face of doing like the press release and like out there promoting an album, or is it just like you've been doing this so long that it's just part of the job?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's obvious that I'm more recognizable than some of the other chaps in the band, Death Ray Vision. So I guess that makes the most sense. It's probably going to get the most clicks or whatever. But other than that, I hate it.
Yeah,
I can't stand it. I wish everyone else would do all the other work and I wouldn't have to do anything. But that's what it's all about, man. Promoting the record and getting people excited about it. And we are super excited that it's actually coming out in a week and a half, because we handed it in last October. It's been 7-8 months of waiting for the vinyl to be pressed.
Right. Yeah. I was gonna ask, is that still a complete clusterfuck right now?
It's so strange. I see people getting them within getting their vinyl records within 3 weeks, and then I see people getting them within 6 months. You just never know who's in front of you and how fast it's going to go, which is a very strange thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I imagine the level of your band versus label probably impacts the way that shuffles out sometimes, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the higher up you go in the scale of record labels, the longer it takes for things to get out.
Oh yeah.
I think the more you do it yourself, and we were on Bullet Tooth for a long time, and it was just Josh Gerbel from Trustkill Records doing everything. So he could sweet talk people, and he didn't have to rely on anybody else to get anything done. So things could get done super duper fast.
Nice.
I really appreciate what he did for the band and how far he got us. It's also really cool to be a part of a company that cares and that is big enough to get your name out there without really even having to try. And I love the Metal Blade dudes. They're rad people. Like, everyone there is super, super cool. So it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah, yeah. Did releasing this album on Metal Blade just come from the Killswitch connection there?
Well, a long time ago, before we even signed to Metal Blade, Brian, the owner, had come to a lot of our shows and just said, "Hey, man, I'm looking for a new band. So if you guys got anything you want me to check out, I would love to check it out. And I believe in you guys as artists." So that's I guess if Killswitch didn't sign to Metal Blade, I still think they would have been interested, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just stick with Death Ray Vision here, because everybody knows you're in Killswitch Engage and you're in Overcast. But let's talk about Death Ray Vision. Did this project come about after Overcast had reunited and released some music? As you and Brian just being like, yo, and I guess Pete still want to be like, we want to play music?
Well, we definitely have fun with that. There was a thought in our mind to maybe do newer Overcast stuff, but I don't know that I can personally write like that anymore. It's just I'm just into different things and not like those epic songs that never repeat riffs once. It's a hard thing to write, and that's why I took Overcast forever to get albums out, because it was incredibly tough to write all that stuff down. I get so lost in how much fun Overcast was back in the day. But in the same vein, I called up Brian. I had a bunch of material that was doing absolutely nothing, and it was in a completely different tuning than Killswitch stuff. It was in E, which is E drop D, which is what Death Ray Vision prominently uses, and it's sort of reflective of that old school feel. And actually, now I think about Overcast was E too, so maybe that had something to do with it. But it just got that old hardcore, New York hardcore feel, which is what we were going for. That tough guy, Leeway, Cro-Mags, Judge kind of a feel to our records. And so anyways, I had a few songs and I said, Bri, I'm bored as hell. Do you want to do something when you're not on tour? Do you want to maybe, I have these songs, let me send them to you and see what you think. He loved them. He was really into it. And I said, well, why don't we'll just do like dive bars, or just play around town, just play local, just do something local and just have something to do when we're not doing anything. And he agreed, and we got Pete right away and started building the band from there. But it really wasn't going to go much farther than the first EP when we first, when we were thinking about what we were going to do. Actually, we weren't thinking about anything. We were just like, oh, let's just put out this music. It'd be really fun. And it'd be even funner because it's like a new name. And no one will know who it is, and maybe people will figure out, maybe people won't. So that's kind of how it started, is just let's just do it for us kind of situation. Yeah. And it's grown into something a bit different, but it's still kind of on that line where we don't have to write radio singles. We can still write exactly for us. We got signed to a record label writing the same material that we like to listen to. It's really cool that other people like it, but we're kind of writing for us, which is fun, really fun. Yeah, especially at 50, to be able to still write music that you really like and put it out into the world, and people actually dig it too is a really cool feeling. Yeah, Death Ray Vision gives me that charge, Yeah. You said you were bored. Is that was kind of in that era where like Howard leaves, Jesse's coming back. I know Adam and Jesse were doing like Times of Grace that time. Is that what Killswitch was just kind of? Oh, you're right. Up in the air, right? Like it was very up in the air, so much so that I thought the band was over. I believe there was even maybe a management meeting where they were just like, if you guys want to start new bands, now's the time. so maybe there was a little of that thrown in as well. Oh man, it was scary. It was really touch and go and frightening, because I really loved all those dudes, and it was unfortunate. Tried to get all the help that we needed to for our friends who were in need, and hope for the best. And luckily, it did work out. Yeah. What led you guys to Bullet Tooth? Josh is a great guy. Yeah. He really wanted to put out the records. He came at us. I think I may have just sent out some demos here and there and everywhere. And he's the first guy to get in touch, and the most excited. And sometimes you want the most excited guy to be a part of your record. So that just means he's going to want to work it more and help you more and provide that level of that maybe a label can't provide, just like a more of a friendship type of thing. And oh man, we're so screwed. We need like a couple records for a show that's going to happen in a few days. Oh, don't worry about it, dude. I'll take care of you. It's that sort of scenario where it was just really, really easy, and it was like dealing with a friend. Yeah. You think Josh got a bad rap with how like things ended with Trustkill and just? I can't speak to what happened with him in that label. I really dug the label. I really dug him when he was doing the label. I really dig Bullet Tooth. I've heard horror stories.
Yeah,
there's going to be horror stories everywhere, especially if there's a lack of back and forth between you and the label. If you just expect a label the size of Trustkill to do everything for you, and it doesn't happen, and you get upset, it's because you didn't do it right. And it's not because the label didn't do it right. So I really, it's not my area of expertise, but he has been nothing but a great friend to me and to the band.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Where'd the name come from?
Death Ray Vision. I was thinking of the word Death Ray, and I was also thinking of those old comic book ads that you'd see in the back of the comics that would say, like, send $1 and you get like X-ray vision eyes, these glasses that had like swirls around them. And I was just so intrigued by that. I was like, Death Ray, X-ray vision. Oh, maybe it could be something like that. And I think I had blurted it out to Brian. He's like, that's the name for sure. It was kind of a unanimous thing right off the bat. I don't think we had too many other names besides that. It's just kind of tells you right off the bat what we're about, I suppose.
Yeah.
That we're not some peace-loving jam band from the Grateful Dead era or something like that. We're ready to burn your face off.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll let Brian to step down from this current record and cycle.
As I had said, it was kind of a local thing. We were really trying to do this as a local band. And when Brian got married and inherited a house in Missouri, and now he resides there with 2 kids and a whole family. And it just got to the point where it just cost a lot of money to fly him out, and we really wanted to practice a lot more and maybe play some shows that were coming up a little bit faster than planning out like months and months in advance. So I just said to Brian, I'm real sorry. I just don't know if this is going to work, only because you're not in the area. You're such a great front man. You're an awesome singer. I love you. He's one of the few singers with an ego problem that I've ever met in my entire life. He's a normal dude. And it was really a pleasure being in 2 bands with him. And he's very creative. It just logistically it just didn't work. He was just a little bit too far away. Yeah. Which is super unfortunate. I mean, you can still do records that way, but you can't promote a record that way. So we moved on to Jeff Gard for the last record, and unfortunately, that didn't really work out either. I think we were trying to patch up a gigantic wound with Brian leaving, with a small little Band-Aid in it. And sometimes you don't figure out that maybe it's not as cohesive as you wanted it to be till after you record a record. And we had finished recording Negative Mental Attitude, and things just weren't really working like they needed to. So with this new incarnation of the band, it was around the pandemic, and we were just, a lot of time on our hands. We started writing a bunch of music. Pete is like a writing machine. We had to just tell him to stop writing too much material. How are we going to find a singer with 150 songs? Because they're just going to look at that and laugh. So anyways, Pete came with the idea of asking Keith Bennett, who, old school hardcore guy, probably first generation hardcore guy from back in the day, Panzer Bastard singer, bass player for Wrecking Crew, old hardcore band, just an all around great guy that we had known, and just never thought that he would be interested in something that us younger kids were doing. I call myself a younger kid, just next to the elder statesman of Keith Bennett. Surprisingly, he loved the material. He got right in with us to start practicing, and it's been awesome ever since. He fit in really well. He's got this great stage presence, commanding stage presence, which is what we really needed. Yeah. After leaving Brian and trying to figure out how to get that back up and running again. And he really believes in the music. We kind of steered the ship in his direction. So you'll notice some of the new record is a little bit more political than maybe I would deal with. But that's him. He's active in that realm, and he really believes every word on that record. So you really want the confidence in your singer to be able to speak his mind. So we let him take the ball and run with it, and we really love the outcome. So Keith might be controlling the band a little bit more than us these days, because after 10 years, I don't know if we did a great job. So it's a new beginning, and we're starting over, and Keith's at the helm steering the ship, and we're just really excited for the future. We got a bunch of shows coming up, and then the big record release on June 30th.
Yeah. No Mercy from Electric Eyes. Is that a title that Keith came up with?
I think it was in the lyrics somewhere, and Keith turned it down as a record title because he said it was too Judas Priest, which is very Judas Priest. But I think that's the reason why I liked it so much. And being a graphic designer and a creative guy who likes to hear certain words and certain phrases together, it really gets my mind working. Mm-hmm. That line, that title, just all of a sudden I saw images in my head and I started working on artwork. I think I rattled off probably 13 to 15 different pieces of art within a week just thinking of that title. So it really helped me in that sense, and really stoked on that one. The funny thing about the titles of our records, they're pretty funny. They're actually meant to be hilarious. Like I said, we were super into New York and New York tough guy stuff, and before Keith, we were like the least thing from tough guy that you can possibly imagine. Skinny, scrawny white dudes. But playing up the tough thing it was really fun and funny for us. So a lot of the song titles people will say in interviews, and I just start cackling. I just start laughing because I can't believe we named one of our records, "You Ain't Leaving Until We Ain't Leaving Until You're Bleeding." It's just like, who is saying this, and why does he have no muscles? But now, Keith, a legitimate tough guy, has brought us into the realm of actual tough guy music. So he's legitimized the band, so to speak, which is pretty funny as well. Yeah. You talked about the album artwork on this and being an artist. What got you into art and graphic design? When did that come along in your life? Around freshman in high school, I was going to a vocational high school, and I was skateboarding a ton. Skateboarding led me to everything in my entire life. It was all due to skateboarding. I was skateboarding a lot and meeting a lot of friends that were in bands, and I wasn't in a band at the time, but I really envied the life that those guys were leading, just skateboarding until they could no longer skateboard, and then just picking up an instrument and jamming for like an hour, and then going back to skateboarding. And that's what I wanted to do. And all these people needed artwork, and they needed flyers, and they needed stickers. And I was going through this thing called Pre-Voc, where they show you every single shop that is in the technical high school. And one of them was graphic arts. And I just started doing stickers and like making things while the teachers weren't looking, and then giving it to my friends for free, and then being super stoked. I was like, wow, I think I could do this as long as I can keep it from the teachers and have them not yell at me. I could probably do this for my friends. And if I'm doing it for my friends, why am I not doing it for myself? Why am I not in a band? So that kind of got the spark and the inspiration to it was like, steamroller of skateboarding, graphic design, and then band. All the artwork, especially for like Killswitch's discography, has always been like phenomenal. And I feel like in the last year and a half or so, there's been a resurgence of like really phenomenal, great artwork. Do you see that in your design, that people are willing to take more chances or want something bigger and bolder these days? You always try to go big and bold anyways. I've noticed that with my work, I was going too much in so many directions that I need to reel it back in. So in that respect, I am doing a lot more, like you're saying, more just bold stuff with a little less accoutrement in the background to make the focus of the reader or the visualizing person more apparent, so that your eyes just aren't torn in a million different directions. I think it's just the way I'm designing these days, more than getting direction from other people. Nice. I'm going to jump over. You talk about being a tough guy hardcore band with this project. On the flip side, you have Kilswitch, who are kind of viewed as like the godfathers or like creators of American metalcore. Like, do you ever think about that, and just like this project you start after Overcast, just like how it's exploded, and like, I mean, it's a job, right? Like, I mean, it's hard not to think about it because it's really, if you think about my entire career, and I've been in bands since 1990, oh, Jesus, since 89 maybe, which is ridiculous. And Killswitch is like the one thing that actually worked. It was like the one thing that people liked. It's like, whoa, I've done so many things and no one, and I've always just, you can get stuck in that rut of just being like, okay, no one likes anything I do, so I just shouldn't do it anymore. But one thing actually hit. So you're going to see a lot more of me now because I'm going to determine to get another one to hit. But it's like winning the lottery. You just never know what's going to hit, when it's going to hit, if it's going to hit, and if it'll ever happen again, which it may never. Yeah. Just feel really lucky. It's like winning the lottery, really. It's very subjective. Music is music. It works for some people. It doesn't work for other people. And when you can get a lot of people to agree that your band is good, it's a cool thing. It's a cool feeling. You never think bands are going to last longer than a few years. And Killswitch is on like 23, 24, or something like that. At this point, it's insane. And it did become a job. But it's the funnest job you'll ever have. Yeah. It's like the coolest thing ever. And being able to have time off from that job and be able to go back to it is refreshing. And everyone's super friendly and having a great time, and still having a great time at it. And I think the day we stop having a great time is probably the day we don't do it anymore. Yeah. Yeah. I hate to say help, but like that COVID break of like tours getting canceled and things shutting down and being like, oh fuck, I might never get to play music again, help kind of bring you back into post-pandemic, like viewing it, not that you didn't think it was special before, but like realizing how special it is to like go out with Slipknot and play giant arena shows. Yeah, you got to really be a jaded asshole to not take all that into consideration and remember where you're at and why you're there, and that the fans created you. And if the fans aren't there to see you, you're not a band anymore. That's it. It's the end of that completely. So we just happen to have amazing fans that still believe in us, even canceling the tour that we were 2 days into pre-pandemic, right as it was hitting, and then wanting to come back and see us again the next round, which I think was like 2 years later. It was a long time. It was more time than I'd be willing to wait for a tour, but we just have rad fans that really believe in us, and it's probably the coolest feeling you can have. Yeah. But yeah, we were supposed to go on a month-and-a-half long tour right as the pandemic hit. We got 2 days in. We had numerous interviews leading up to it, and everyone's like, when are you guys going to stop? It sounds like they're pulling the plug on everything. And we're like, we're never going to stop. The government's going to have to step in. And the next day, the government stepped in and said, go home. So I sat on my couch for a good 3 to 4 months, not knowing what to do. I was still in, there's like a tour mode and there's a home mode, and they sometimes just don't jive whatsoever. And I was still stuck in tour mode. So just thinking, where am I going next? Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I can't go anywhere. And let alone, I can't even go to the grocery store because there's no toilet paper. Yeah. It was a weird thing, but I'm so glad we're out of it. I'm so glad it was able to get people to see how crazy that situation was, and hopefully it won't happen anymore. So the record's coming out in a week. and a half, and is really all guns a-blazing. Now we have this like juggernaut of a metal blade behind us, doing the ads and getting the steamroller of promotion going, and we're going to use that platform to the best of our ability to just play shows and try to sell some records. It's tough to sell records these days, but I think we have a good product, and I know we do. Hopefully people can hear it. And we got all this weekend we're playing with legendary hardcore band Tree. And then we got the record release show on the 30th, the day the record comes out, and a bunch of shows after that. We are going to tour as much as we possibly can in between Killswitch touring. And Kilswitch is going to be out for a long time in August. We're going back to Europe for the first time since the pandemic. So it's been like three years. And we can't wait to go back. And not to keep going back to Killswitch, but during that run, we're going to be playing a bunch of festivals. And one of them is called Bloodstock in the UK. And they are going to be doing an art expo for me at an art gallery on grounds. So if you happen to go to Bloodstock in the UK, that festival in August, I'm going to have a bunch of artwork on display, and it's a really cool thing to go through old artwork and pick out the crap and pick out the cool stuff and have everyone be excited about checking it out. Yeah. So
that's dope.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah. I see all the skate decks behind you. Are those designs you've done?
Not at all. No. I just have, those are like, probably 85 to 92 skateboard decks that were all, some of them original, most of them are reissues because they did a bunch of reissues lately. But I really like getting like 3 or 4 of the same deck, but in totally different colorways. I love how the different colors play off of different colorways. Colorways meaning, different colors assembled into different areas. Trying to see if I see any on the wall, but all of like 5 or 6 of the same deck, but in completely different colorways. And it helps me with design work and just trying to guess color ideas and just come up with different ideas that may not be the norm of your usual instances, especially for t-shirts. I think, the old skateboard decks were all done separated one color each, and it's really cool to be able to pick out those colors and see why they did certain things. And I just love silk screening in general, even though I've never done it in my entire life.
Yeah, that's like something that brings you artistic inspiration to skate
sure
decks. That's your collection of choice.
and toys and
one of them. Yeah,
but the skateboard decks in particular help me with graphic design for sure. If you're like super just stressed on a project, you can just push the chair back, have a look around the room, reminisce maybe about 20 years ago when you're skateboarding on a really cool deck, or even just look at some stuff from when you were a kid, and just eases your mind, and then you can go back to your project with a fresh set of eyes. I think a lot of my work hinges on leaving for a day or like putting it away, coming back to it later and saying, okay, I think I know exactly what needs to happen now.
Yeah. Music and art are similar in that ways where like sometimes you got to step away and just like it clicks and you're just like, okay, that's what this needs.
I would say that's the most helpful thing I can think of for anybody is stepping away, especially if you're getting stressed out about it, and putting it away for a day, 5 days a week. A fresh set of ears, a fresh set of eyes is going to do wonders for whatever you're trying to do, or it'll tell you that thing's crap and you need to start fresh. You need to start over again.
Yeah.
Not everything you're going to do is great.
Yeah.
So it is. Yeah. Repetition.
I'm curious if there's something, I hate to like wrap a whole region as a scene, but like so many like killer bands have come out of like the New England scene, Converge, Cave In, Killswitch, Shadows Fall. I mean, like the scene is massive. Is there something about that area that just like encourages bands, or that used to encourage bands of that nature, and just like, I don't know, some political underpinning or something, or just like skate culture? Like
it's funny. I think it did have to do with skate culture. I think it did have to do with BMX guys and all of us hanging out when we weren't playing in bands or we weren't going to shows. It's definitely super incestuous in that every band members, probably been about 3 or 4 other bands that from the area. Swapping band members is pretty common here, or it was back in the day. And it's really funny that a lot of the kids that I grew up are still doing it to this day. They learned their avenues and figured out where they could thrive and keep doing it, which is rad as hell.
Yeah.
Bands like Bane and All That Remains and Unearth, and it's just cool to see their trajectory and that they can pull it off in a small little place like Massachusetts. It looks like an arm, a flexing arm. There's definitely a certain style, I guess, that we kind of adopted and maybe we all kind of pilfered as our own. There's a uniqueness and a similarity as well to the things that are going on here. And at one point, around 2004, 2006, around there, I was like, wow, I think Boston's like the new Seattle for hardcore. It was so prevalent and there were so many shows. You didn't think it was ever going to stop, but everything eventually does slow down at least. Yeah.
You talked about Keith doing the lyrics on this Death Ray Vision record, and you talked about more political than you guys wanted it to be, or not than you would choose to go to.
Me personally,
previous, yeah. Are there moments when anybody's writing lyrics, whether it's Jesse, whether it was Brian, whether it's Keith, where you're just like, I don't know about that, or is you always just hands off, or as a band, or are there moments where you're like, guys, you can't fucking say that?
I'm that guy. I'm the asshole. It's like, dude, you're using the same adjective like 10 times. Is there a song where you don't use this word? Let's get out a thesaurus and try to rectify this. It's all about stating your point and then trying to come up with a solution rather than just being the jerk that's like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Fuck you. That sucks.
Right.
Terrible. You gotta, people can only take so much of that. And I fucking learned that firsthand, that you can't be that way. You really gotta, if you're gonna come up with a problem, you gotta come up with a solution too. So
yeah,
a lot of times I may back off nowadays just because I don't have a solution.
Yeah.
Or I would rather have the singer confident in what he's saying than singing something that I pushed into his mouth. Love to see you at the shows. Anybody who wants to come out, it's going to be super fun. It's got more of a hardcore feel to it, more of camaraderie, and more of an underground thing for sure. We're not trying to pose or write hits. We're just trying to go for the throat and bring some emotion to the table. So hopefully you can hear that in the music, and I would just love for people to hear it. That's all.
Yeah. A completely different vibe than Killswitch, which is big and hooky and like not mainstream, but way more than just like, we want to be old school hardcore, circle pitted up.
Just there's a little bit more stress involved with a high profile band. You just have to make the right moves, and Death Ray Vision is not a high profile band. So we don't have to make the right moves. You can make tons of mistakes and still be stoked.
Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.